Ethos of Silence.
A veteran podcast aims to amplify the voices of veterans, creating a safe space for authentic conversations about their experiences, challenges, and triumphs. We seek to break the stigma surrounding mental health and foster community support, resilience, and understanding. Through storytelling, expert insights, and candid discussions, we strive to inspire healing, promote awareness, and empower veterans on their journeys.
Welcome. So, back with Ethos of Silence, but I know I'm not going to like what you're talking about, Kevin. But once again, it's content and it's going to help somebody. And you are speaking from a place of passion. There's no doubt about that. And a place of what you believe and a place of where you think you can help somebody that you see struggling with their own battles, right?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So that's a good summary. So we're going to jump into Ethos of Silence. We'll figure out what the title of this later. Tim here, and it's all yours, Kev. Go ahead.
Doing, guys? Yeah, I'm speaking from a place of my own faith, right? My own faith, right?
Okay.
The microphone's over here now.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah. And it's my own
Podcasting 101, talking to the mic.
Hey, you know what? I'm getting pretty good at this. Just keep this microphone over here.
There we go.
In my face. So my it does inherently attach straight back to coping mechanisms.
Okay.
It's where it starts. I'd have to say it was that, but moments earlier before we took a live, I told you that I was speaking from a place of what I cope with, and then how I cope, and then it's being faith. And I said that I never thought that, in the Bible and my faith, it teaches us to share our testimony,
Of course,
to reach out to others that are struggling. And I told you, I said that I never pictured that it would be this difficult to share my testimony with someone as a hard ass as you. I didn't picture that God would have pictured that to be that way. I always thought, you want it to be just so easy and delicate, but it's not real life.
Because it's easy for the Jehovah's Witness to walk door to door
Right.
and get the door slammed in their face every time, right? That's
Right.
easy?
Right. It can be. I mean, it shouldn't be so hard for me to see it, because going back years back, whenever I was dealing with divorce and dealing with a very abusive mother to my kids, I was left alone with no one to deal with, so except my faith. And I felt myself without an answer to my questions, an answer to my craziness, an answer to my own preservation, the voices in my head that kept me going back and forth, and sleepless nights, having to leave from one city to go to another city to look to see if her time with her, my daughter was safe when I knew she wasn't. Sleepless nights, I'd spend nights awake, a week or two, in another town, camping in my truck, and that plays a lot of role on your psyche, plays a lot of role on your time. And I'd come home exhausted and not be able to spend time with my daughter, my first daughter that I love very much. So it was a bunch of challenge about faith, and I didn't have a great connection or coping mechanism. I was still drinking a whole lot then. I think I would say a whole lot compared to what it's zero now. I don't put anything in between what would be my faith. So I was dealing with, do I turn back to drinking? Do I go sit at the bar and order up a beer and order up a shot and say life is going to be what it is and things are going to take care of themselves, or do I say I'm going to be a father and make sure that that's what's going to happen? Because that's what a father does.
Okay.
There's no one else that's going to do it. So in that time, I'd found that through the fatigue and through the sleepless hours, and that there's what's that frame of mind you get in when you're so tired? Delirium.
Delirium.
Delirium sets in, and you're looking for answers. And I'm driving a 6,500-pound vehicle through a town to set up and stay in the area in the event that someone would be uncharacterized to be around my daughter, so that I could be there to protect her. So I found myself struggling a lot. My face planted in my hands a lot. I'm so tired I can't see through the windshield. But it's my responsibility. It's my child.
Of course it is.
So there's nothing that I wouldn't do, including put my own life before hers to protect her.
Yeah, no, I mean you're a combat veteran. The saying of "there's nothing that I wouldn't do" crosses lines further than what people could ever imagine from what a normal person saying that means. So I understand the volume of saying that's the limitations, because your limitations are 10x the limitations of a normal person.
It was a lot of run-ins with late night. I found myself in situations where some of the people I encountered throughout being in that city waiting, your average drug dealer very surprised to not see that the normal fear that he puts in somebody does not be put in me, and that there was a sense of value in someone else, and that I think they were surprised. But the truth behind it was that I was running out of energy. I was running out of...
Yeah, you're running on fumes.
Anything to keep me going. So the human body and the human mind, and whatever training you have for whatever situation, you don't get to see the future to. You don't know in that moment what is needed to fix that situation.
Well, a trauma response is acting off of instinct. It's not acting off of a place where you can see further than the front of what you're doing, right? So when you're dealing with trauma, your responses while dealing with the trauma are not long-term responses. They are the best short-term option. And if anybody's ever known anything, the best short-term option is great for the first month, great for the first couple weeks.
Mm.
You know, that's like go and get a payday loan at 35% interest. Hey, it solves the problem today. It creates a hell of a problem next month.
It is a definite rut. So,
but that's a trauma response.
Yeah.
Trauma, you respond to what fixes the problem today. Screw tomorrow, because tomorrow may not exist.
Yeah. And there's a, obviously there's a child's life involved. So
I hear you.
So what I'm saying is to you is that in that moment, I couldn't depend on myself anymore.
Okay.
I'm telling you that, and I've told very few people this, because I have been the person that's been dependable in every way. And if I couldn't do it, it's because someone didn't give me a chance to figure it out. I'm not the smartest or sharpest tool in the bunch, but I can get to a baseline, and I've got a reputation of doing what's right over what's wrong, stepping over a $5 bill to pick up a $1 bill because it was the right thing to do. So I in that moment could not find the more strength in myself. All the doors were closed. All the moments and opportunities to make things right were completely out of control. I couldn't turn back to the drink. The drink would not clarify anything, and I certainly wasn't going back to the drugs. So I had one option, and that's, again, we go straight back to the beginning of the episode, is that I never imagined being a person of faith that it would be so hard for me to find someone as so rugged as you to share my faith with, and I'm having a struggle doing that. And I don't know why, because I said what I said about me on a mission for my daughter, because it should have made me capable of doing this today with you. because the faith I had and the God that I have told me everything was okay. That he had her in his arms, if that's what I desired. And I had faith in him to do that. Because he's the creator, right? He's, what do we say in our meetings? The divine creator that keeps us as steadfast, and it keeps our character as steel.
Yeah, but the problem is not the fact of you sharing. The problem is what you think will happen if you share. The problem is the unknowing of the reaction to things. The problem is the fact that you're sitting across from somebody that you continually learn more and more about. And as you learn more and more about his character, you become more and more entangled in wondering, entangled in this web of wonder of how is this man raised the way he did, and then talks about his father in such a light, and then says that his father didn't come back into his life until he was a teenager. How can somebody be that impactful and then, come back into your life when you're 13 and then you went to the military at 18? So, 5 years? How can somebody be that impactful in a 5-year period? How can this person you're sitting across from and you're not exactly sure too much about, but you've learned so much about? We're probably 20 hours into podcast episodes. You probably listen to every last one of them that has my voice on it. So you've learned key parts about my life that, maybe even, I know there's loved ones in my life that don't even know key parts of my life that I've shared. And you're still trying to compile up the type of man I am, and you cherish the type of brotherhood we've established in the short time we've been together. So you don't want to ruin that by asking for help with putting in a transmission or asking with this, that, the other. But yet you've allowed me to bring your son all the way down to New Orleans and race go-karts that go 50, 60 miles an hour. So
there's a sense of discernment to seeing a man you are. You are a very solid man. There's no doubt that if I didn't have a flinch of inkling of thinking that you were off, I see straight down to the core of it. You're a very solid man. That's why I have you in my life. But my challenge is sharing with you what gives me peace, because you have your own understanding of what got you through where you are. It's hard for me to tell you how good of a God that gave me the peace that I have. And I went from a place of rugged and attributes of I didn't want anyone to touch me or tell me what to do.
I hear you.
I look at you and I see myself. How do I tell you how good of faith that every door that was slammed in my face and every time I wanted to explode that has been removed? How do I share that kind of faith? I'm missing verses in the Bible that I study every day looking at you.
Yeah.
That I want to be able to share with you and tell you.
Because it's not the words that escape you.
Why?
It's not the words that escape you.
Why can't I tell you about a great thing?
It's the impact of the words. You're worried about the impact of the words. You're worried about me receiving the words and reacting differently than the way you think I need to react.
But the benefits are your life. If I believe firmly that you would find a peace that I find, how is it so hard for me to tell you the things?
The same way it's so hard for me to crack the egg of the small conversation that I need to have with somebody. The same way it's hard for me to crack the egg. It's a very, very simple conversation about a very, very complex issue.
Yeah.
It's a simple conversation. I've had the conversation with myself drunk 1,000,000 times. I don't trust to have the conversation with myself sober without having the correct people in place who are not going to make a judgment call, who are going to make a medical call to help me process what I need emotionally if I can trust this person.
Now we're getting down to some meat potatoes here.
So you don't want to ruin what we've built over the words that come out of your mouth, because you know what the impact of those words are going to be. And you truly do not believe that I'm ready for the impact of those words. They are stuck on the tip of your tongue because you can't deliver them. And you can't deliver them because you know what the impact of those words are.
But it's such a good thing on the other side.
Nobody's saying it's not. I'm saying I've got to.
Can I deliver them?
I'm saying I've got to get across that bridge myself.
But I don't trust anybody. I didn't unload mine on anybody. That's what I'm telling you. The same box that contains fiery depths of hell was never unloaded on a person, brother.
I'm not saying I have to unload a physical thing out of the box.
Are you mad at God?
Am I mad at God?
You heard what I said. I finally opened up.
I am not mad at the person who has delivered everything that has happened. No, I'm not mad with the Lord. I'm not upset with the Lord. I'm not on a path of fire and brimstone. I do not believe. I believe everything happens for a reason and for a purpose. And I believe that you do not understand the purpose when it happens. But like I told you before, some of the purpose has helped change me in directions I needed to go.
Yeah.
And help me reveal things that I needed to reveal, that people have told me and I couldn't press the belief button on until a trauma happened. And I was able to look at the glass half full.
Let me ask you another question. Do you have anybody in your life that you cannot forgive? Honestly. That you would rather die than give them forgiveness or see that person?
Myself?
No, it's not what I asked. That's not what I asked. You know that's not what I asked. I mean, what fractures you? Is there a person that fractures you from your very core? And we don't have to answer this because I have had people in my past, and I have several people that I can think of right now that have been in that category of I would rather run myself into a tree head first than to look that person in the eye and shake their hand and tell them I forgive them because of what they did to somebody in my family.
Yeah, I mean, that exists.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's gone in me now. That was the chink in my armor. If I'm asking for forgiveness to give to that person, I'm asking for forgiveness from God. How can I ask it from Him if I can't give it to Him? How can I ask it from God if I can't give that same very forgiveness? How can I expect Him to give me those things? I can't talk out of two sides of my mouth. I can't say, yeah, Lord, forgive me. But I'm not going to forgive that person there. That was hard for me. There have been things that have happened to me that I have to look deep, deep back and go, well, forgiveness covers that. Because it's not just a word, it has a connection back to the whole universe of things and your spirit and being right in my spirit. So that covered my piece. No matter what I talk about or what details come out or what boring events that led me down a road to be struggling with strife and trauma and angry situations, things I want to forgive myself about, there's still this realm above me that I know that I'm not a person with a soul. I am a soul that has a body and is connected to that. For me, that's what it is. For me, that's how I found the peace. For me, that's the peace, the PEACE, that goes beyond all understanding of why I'm okay with that happening. Why I'm okay with that, and that. And even that. Oh, and even that too. Well, what about this one? That one too, because that's peace. That's a peace that doesn't come from me. It's not a peace I got from anybody. It's not a peace that my brother told me, that you told me, one of my best friends, another friend. There's not a person that can give that to me. I found it in a spiritual place. Not doing yoga, not talking to Gandhi. I talked to a living God that has identified my spirit and then I opened up to. And that is where it was the difference in the pain that I could not process and grow out of, and the pain that I could process and grow out of, because those were the only tools that made sense in my life. That I really did come from a lineage of Adam and Eve, not a storybook of two people. I'm from them and I am sin because of them. So I have to accept that. So I don't know where people's beliefs are and whether it's fractioned up between, I went to catechism too, and I truly did, but I can't see myself asking the priest to forgive me when the Bible said that this one, the same one they believe in, says, this is the man I ask for forgiveness for because he's the one that atoned our blood. It was his blood. He's the one that rose from the dead. He's the one that is in heaven now. He is the prepared prince. He's the warrior, the lion, the sheep, the lion of Judah, the shepherd, the sacrifice, the atonement that made all things in my life worth everything. And when I understood that, then I could pick myself back up. I didn't want to kill myself anymore. I didn't want to not wake up one day and not be alive or run my bike into a tree at 150 miles an hour. The pain was gone. That was my belief. And people dilute it to be a storybook or a fractional thing. Explain to me how that happens. Explain to me why my belief kept me here and my friends are dead. There's only one explanation. There's a divine God that loves us, that loves every thought. He wants to hear everything I have. I started to have images in my mind, not like a make-believe image, but I went to a place by a cross where I was unloading my packages of my problems and leaving them there. I think that's when I knew I arrived. I was there, and God made a place for me to be near him, and I saw myself unloading every problem I had. It didn't matter what it was, I left them there. And I turned around and went away. And he keeps me. Without him, I am nothing. God has shown me that mankind has destroyed everything he's ever created. This world will die. Our souls won't. I don't want to face him and say that I had an opportunity to say, I realize what you did for me, but I turned back to the world for an answer. God says, separate yourself from the world and find heaven. That's my only worries. I don't worry about my family anymore. I don't worry about my daughter that I haven't seen. I know he's got her. Whatever will happen, will happen. Well, maybe it makes me a bad father. Well, maybe people don't know what they're talking about. We all have our issues and our problems, and I don't seem to amount very much. I know I'll complain about a few things, you hear me, in my day-to-day, but in a nutshell, in the case of all things that matter, that's important, that's it. It's just faith, not my religion. And I don't believe in coincidences. I think you're in my life for an absolute 100% reason.
I hear you. I'm not disagreeing with anything you said.
Well,
Everything you've said aligns pretty closely with what I believe and where I'm at. And I'm telling you, there's 3 elements, and I'll go back to them, right? There's the physical body. And I mean, all of them are controlled by the mind, but the physical body, the spiritual body, and the emotional. The emotional, I'm spiritually, I'm always at a 10. There's no changing my resolve. There's no switching up what my beliefs are and understanding that it's only through the grace of a higher power that I'm still here and that I have been granted the opportunities, and I've taken advantage of the opportunities that have been dealt to me to have a glorious life and to provide for the people around me.
Can I ask you a question? The way that you categorize that, then the body, the mind, the spirit, are you basing that from a biblical perspective, or from a higher power
I'm not.
perspective?
There is no perspective whatsoever. The perspective.
I say perspective. I mean, what I mean to say is your views, and which I respect, by the way.
Which is my perspective and my views, whatever you want to call it.
Where is that biblically is where I'm asking.
It's not biblically anywhere. It is my 3 personal tenets of what I write down daily and monitor my well-being. Physically, how am I feeling?
Okay.
Spiritually, where am I at? Spiritually, I'm always at a 10. Spiritually, I know where I'm at. Spiritually, I'm solid. Emotionally, what roller coaster of emotions have me going? Mm-hmm. What's going on in my life? That is the thing that I need to understand how to regulate. Because like I've told you, I can't regulate the highs. I can't regulate the lows. I live in the middle ground. Mm-hmm. In the process of doing that, I am missing emotional connections, and I am not experiencing them the way that I should be experiencing them. And I'm aware of this, and that's what needs fixed, and that's what needs healed, and that is something that is not beyond faith, but within my power, with faith as a guide, to figure out how to address.
Okay. So here is where I have this debacle when I size up any person in the world. I don't care if you're Gary Brecka. I don't care if you're Elon Musk. Right? This is my thing. How is a man basing his moral compass? Where is that coming from? When a man from a family, just a normal man living a normal life, can out of nowhere, without faith, decide that day he wants to kill someone and murders it happens, murders an entire side of a city. Or someone says, well, I have a moral base. That's what keeps me going. That's the same person saying that is the same person that had a 9-to-5 job and loved his kids. And then all of a sudden they break and do something. That same person, I measure up to say, where is their moral compass coming from?
They don't all of a sudden snap.
Well,
there's
I use
plenty
as an extreme.
There's plenty of signs.
But the real engaging, just candid conversation is, where do I see a person making their moral compass come from? From a human standpoint of view, which we fail every day. How do they base off of what is good and wrong and right and wrong?
Hollywood.
So that's where it all comes down to, right?
Well,
so that's where my faith comes from, and a distinct reasoning of what is right and what is wrong, according to the Word.
Yeah.
And we only find it in the Word. I don't find it in myself. I don't have a power within me to judge what is good.
I'm not debating what is right and what is wrong.
I'm just conversating. I'm just saying.
I know what's right. I know what's wrong.
But how do you know what's wrong? How do we know it? Because if you don't... So if my compass, again, is telling me that, then I'm saying that
if you're not calibrated toward true north, you don't understand the difference between right and wrong. I get it.
No, what I'm saying is I'm 75 years here. That's all I know. I have no power over anything.
Okay.
I have to have the supreme power and the supreme being and our creator and divine creator have cared enough about us to send down a instruction book.
But you can understand when you are not emotionally conscious
before leaving Earth. Is that what it's called? The Bible.
You can understand when you're not emotionally conscious of the world around you.
Okay.
Does that have anything to do with faith? Does my internal emotional consciousness, does that have anything to do with faith?
Well, faith is different. Faith is individual.
Faith is me believing that if I just give it to them, it will take care of itself.
I'm just saying, on a right and wrong level, I don't have the authority to make that.
I hear you.
I can't. I don't think no person has the authority.
I don't
to
have
say
a moral
that
problem.
Right or wrong.
I don't have a moral problem
without there being a being that sets that. You know what I mean? I can't. There has to be a standard.
Of course.
And I think the standard's already been set. And I think it's already been here, and I think it's the one thing the world wants to deny. But anyways,
there you go. Any final words of wisdom?
Oh no, I just appreciate you giving me an opportunity to share my faith and the things I have, and I try desperately to be someone that represents the kingdom of God, and
of course,
in all ways, and serve it, and love you.
Well, I mean, that's the greatest coping mechanism there is your faith, is the spiritual connection to ensure that you're here. I mean, whenever you know that you have the spiritual connection and it is solid, there's nothing shaking that. That is a supreme foundation that will be a guiding compass and will be your morals for the rest of your life. And continuing to grow your faith by trusting in what's happening and studying the Bible and studying the words and studying everything around you makes you stronger. I'm not denying any of that. I hope we were able to reach somebody. If you're still listening, we love you. Thanks for your support.
Thank you. If you need more information on veterans benefits, please visit our website at vfwpost4224.org. That's Victor Foxtrot Whiskey, post4224.org. All of our contact information is in the description of the video. Please email us if you have any questions.
Ethos of Silence.
A veteran podcast aims to amplify the voices of veterans, creating a safe space for authentic conversations about their experiences, challenges, and triumphs. We seek to break the stigma surrounding mental health and foster community support, resilience, and understanding. Through storytelling, expert insights, and candid discussions, we strive to inspire healing, promote awareness, and empower veterans on their journeys.
Welcome